Chosen ones, a secret bidding war has broken out among the elite. They're fighting for a seat by your side. They used to laugh at you, ignore you, doubt you. Now, they're at each other's throats, desperate to get close. Behind closed doors, the whispers have turned into bidding wars. The same elite who once overlooked you are now throwing offers, pulling strings, and scheming behind the scenes, all for a chance to stand next to you. Why? Because they see it now. The power, the presence, the inevitable rise. You're not just another face in the crowd. You're the main event. And they know whoever sits closest to you wins by association. But here's the thing. Not everyone gets a seat at your table. They can bid, fight, and beg all they want, but you're the one who decides who gets access. The price of your presence just skyrocketed, and the whole world is about to see why. You weren't looking for them, but they were already watching you. Because they had seen enough to know one thing: you are rare. And in their world, rarity is meant to be owned. They assumed you would take the bait, that you would recognize their status, their wealth, their reach, and fall in line like so many before you. They thought you would see their interest as a favor, as something to be grateful for. But they miscalculated, because while they were busy strategizing their next move, someone else was already moving in. A rival, another elite figure, had taken notice, and in their world, power is never shared willingly. What started as a simple invitation turned into something much bigger, a silent war. A battle where money, influence, and ego clashed behind closed doors, all over one thing: you. Not because you chased them, not because you asked for their approval, but because they all realized the same brutal truth: whoever stands beside you will rise. They fight, not to help you, but to claim you. Your name was never meant to reach their circles. Yet here they are, discussing you in private meetings, dropping your name between negotiations, analyzing your presence like a calculated risk. In their world, information is currency. Power is secured before it's ever announced. So when they speak of you, it's never in the open. No headlines, no formal statements. Just whispers behind closed doors, passed from one elite figure to the next. Who is this person? Why do they hold influence without trying? At first, they assumed it was a fluke, an anomaly. But the more they watched, the harder it became to ignore. You weren't just another name to file away. You weren't positioning yourself to climb their ranks or vying for their approval. You weren't seeking them at all. And that's what made them desperate to seek you. Because in their world, power follows a pattern, a structure, a set of unwritten rules that determine who rises and who remains invisible. But you exist outside of that system. You walk through life as if their hierarchy means nothing, because to you, it doesn't. That's why they can't stop talking about you. Your presence has created a ripple effect. The more they speak your name, the more valuable you become in their circles. The more they analyze you, the more they realize they don't understand you. And what they can't understand, they can't control. That's what unsettles them the most. Now, every move you make is being observed. Every interaction, every decision, every moment of your life that once belonged to you alone is now being studied by people who are used to pulling the strings. But here's the truth they refuse to admit. The moment they started talking about you, you won. Because they aren't discussing how to invite you in. They're scrambling to keep up with you. One of them finally steps forward. The whispers, the discreet inquiries, the careful calculations. They aren't enough anymore. Someone has to make the first move. Someone has to take the risk. So they do. An exclusive invitation. A carefully crafted deal. An offer that should be impossible to refuse. This isn't a test. It's a statement. A declaration that they see your value, that they are ready to claim you before anyone else can. They expect an immediate response. A spark of excitement. A sign that you recognize what's in front of you. But you don't react. No eager acceptance, no quick agreement. No rush to align yourself with the opportunity they so generously presented. You don't bite. And that's when it happens, the shift. Your indifference shakes them, because in their world, people chase them. People fight for their attention, negotiate for their favor, scramble for even the smallest position within their sphere. But you remain unmoved. They are the ones scrambling. The others take notice. They see the hesitation, the way the first offer failed to secure you. And that's when the realization sets in. They must outdo each other. A new offer emerges, grander than the last. More benefits, more access, more promises of power. And then another, and another. What was once a quiet pursuit, a controlled attempt to pull you in, has now spiraled into an all-out bidding war. Not because you asked for it, not because you needed it, but because the moment you refused to be easily claimed. They understood. You were never an option. You were the prize. They don't all come with admiration. Some of them want to align with you, to stand beside you, to claim you as an ally, to attach themselves to your presence as if it will make them untouchable. They see you as a rising force, something they can merge with to secure their own position in the shifting balance of power. But others? They don't want to stand beside you. They want to neutralize you. They won't announce themselves as threats. They won't come with aggression or open hostility. They will arrive with smiles, with carefully chosen words, with gestures designed to lower your guard. They will send people to test you, subtle, infiltrators disguised as admirers, as confidants, as potential allies. These people will act curious, asking the right questions, mirroring your values, presenting themselves as if they have been in alignment with you all along. But they're real. Purpose is to break into your mind. They need to know how you think, how you react, how you make decisions. They need to map your patterns so they can find the weaknesses you haven't revealed to anyone. And when the tests don't work, when they fail to find what they're looking for, the gifts begin. Lavish offers, favorable deals, opportunities, wrapped in gold, but beneath the shine, the chains are waiting, because nothing from them comes without strings. The moment you accept, you become an investment, and in their world, investments must yield results, compliance, loyalty, silence when necessary. The wise chosen ones recognize these tactics before they even begin. You know the difference between a genuine opportunity and a veiled attempt at control. You see the hesitation behind their smiles, the calculations behind their gestures, the desperation hidden beneath their charm. They aren't offering these things out of generosity. They are buying leverage. And when you refuse to play their game, when you decline the offers, when you sidestep the traps without ever explaining yourself, that's when their true nature begins to show. The wolves in silk never expect their prey to recognize them. You knew before they even arrived. They don't just want you in their circle. They don't just want access to your presence, your connections, or your influence. They want what you carry. The essence that makes you untouchable, the insight that allows you to see beyond their illusions, the discernment that shatters their carefully constructed facades. They think it can be studied. That if they observe you long enough, imitate you precisely enough, or stand close enough, some part of it will transfer to them. But spiritual currency doesn't work that way. You didn't acquire this power through wealth or privilege. You didn't buy it, steal it, or inherit it through bloodlines. You earned it through trials, through revelation, through alignment with something greater than them. And that's what unsettles them. Because in their world, everything has a price. Everything can be purchased, controlled, or manipulated into submission. That's how they've operated for centuries, through contracts, through handshakes made in secret, through unspoken agreements that ensure they always maintain the upper hand. But this, what you have, cannot be traded, cannot be auctioned, cannot be transferred. It is God-given, and no man can steal what the Most High has secured. They try anyway. They surround you, waiting for the moment you slip. They study your mannerisms, your speech, your presence, hoping to bottle it, replicate it, sell it as their own. They align themselves with you, thinking that proximity alone will transform them. But no matter how much they take notes, how much they mimic, how much they posture, they remain empty. Because what you carry is not external. It cannot be worn like a title, flaunted like a possession, or projected like an illusion. It is embedded in your soul, woven into your being, something that only those truly called can walk with. And that is what makes you dangerous to them. Because no matter how much they offer, no matter how much they fight for a seat by your side, they will never have what they came for. They were never meant to. For years, they have pulled the strings. They decide who succeeds and who fades into obscurity. They orchestrate careers, industries, governments, and movements, shaping reality to fit their will. They create leaders, manufacture icons, and elevate pawns, always ensuring that no one rises unless they are under their control. That system has worked until you came along. You are not like the others. You do not move with desperation. You do not seek validation. You do not rely on their approval, their resources, or their manufactured power structures. And that makes you unpredictable. They cannot blackmail you because you have no hidden dependencies. They cannot bribe you because your values are not for sale. They cannot manipulate you because you see through the illusions they use to ensnare others. But the real problem: you move with divine protection. They feel it. Every time they try to infiltrate your mind, lure you into their traps, or shift the circumstances around you, something blocks them. Their usual methods fail. Their go-to strategies crumble in your presence. That frustrates them, because they are used to total control. They are used to people bending at their will, adjusting their morals, lowering their standards for a place at their table. They are used to fear being enough to keep others in line. You do not fear them. They face a dilemma they've never encountered before. They cannot move you like a pawn. They cannot silence you like a threat. They cannot eliminate you without exposing just how much they have failed to contain you. So they do the next best thing. They try to own you. They offer partnerships, alliances, exclusive deals meant to pull you into their system. They tell you that together you could have more influence, more resources, more access. They try to present it as a win-win, as if this was simply a negotiation, as if you were an asset waiting to be acquired. But what they cannot comprehend is this: you were never looking for a seat at their table. Your power does not come from association. It does not come from deals, contracts, or allegiance to a structure you were never meant to be part of. And this is what terrifies them most. Because the very thing that draws them to you is also what makes you untouchable. You cannot be owned, and they cannot handle that. Hello, chosen one, look at your life. Now look at ours. Back at your life. Now back at ours. Sadly, you're not in the obsidian inner order, but you could be. Picture this: weekly group calls with 450+ chosen ones, recorded and available anytime for your enlightenment. Our private Discord. It's not just active, it's alive, buzzing with ideas, breakthroughs, and that unstoppable chosen energy. Oh, and for you romantics out there, welcome to Chosen Singles, where soulmates meet under cosmic alignments, not cheap pickup lines. And if that's not enough, Star Chamber members unlock exclusive interviews with bona fide targeted individuals who faced the darkest trials and survived to tell the tale. Plus our video specials, too bold, too raw, too spicy for YouTube. This isn't just a community, it's a revolution of soul and spirit. Look at your DMs. Now back at me. The link to join, it's in the description. Don't just swipe right. On Destiny, claim it. The Obsidian Inner Order, smell like ascension, feel like magic, live like a chosen one. You never chased, never sought their validation, never responded with the desperation they are used to seeing in those outside their circle. Their frustration is beginning to show. The polished masks, the ones they wear in boardrooms, on world stages behind the illusion of total control, are starting to crack. Because for the first time in a long time, they are the ones who feel powerless. The billionaire who is used to dictating outcomes, accustomed to bending people to their will, with a signature and a wire transfer, suddenly shows up in person. No assistants, no middlemen. Them standing in front of you, face to face, looking you in the eye, trying to figure out why you are so different from the rest. A leader, once untouchable, lowers themselves to negotiate with you directly. The one who never had to ask for anything before is now seeking your cooperation. It doesn't make sense to them. In their world, power does not chase. It dictates. It commands. It controls. But with you, it's different. Because you are not desperate for what they offer. You do not move at the sound of their call. You do not crumble under the weight of their influence. And they cannot stand it. The room shifts in ways they never expected. Their usual tactics, the ones that worked on countless others, fail miserably against you. You are still unbothered, and they are the ones making exceptions. They send more offers, better deals, grander promises. They adjust their approach, soften their words, attempt to convince you that they are not like the others, that what they are offering you is different, special, once in a lifetime. But you see through it. Because this is not about opportunity. This is about control. And when you don't bite, when you don't react, when you don't move exactly how they need you to, that's when their desperation turns into something darker. Because now they know the truth. You are not in their game. And that means they can't win. You were never meant to be a piece on their board. You were never meant to play by their rules, follow their hierarchy, or seek their approval. They built their system to filter out those they couldn't control, to elevate only those who were willing to serve their interests. But then you appeared. Everything they thought was unshakable is starting to crack. At first, they tried to categorize you, to place you somewhere within the structure they created: ally, rival, asset, threat. They studied your moves, searching for leverage, expecting you to fall in line like those before you. But you don't fit. You don't chase status. You don't beg for access. You don't respond to their invisible levers of control. And without control, their entire system collapses. Because what is their power if there are people who refuse to submit to it? What is their influence if there are those they cannot buy? What is their hierarchy if someone like you, someone they did not create, did not train, did not authorize, is now standing above them? The board flips. The ones who once dictated influence, who decided who got opportunities and who was locked out, are now the ones scrambling for your validation. They try to impress you, to align with you, to seek favor from the very person they once saw as an outsider. The game has changed, and they don't know the rules anymore, because for the first time they are not in control. You are. Not because you took their throne, not because you fought for a seat at their table, but because you were never playing their game to begin with. Your power does not depend on their structures. It does not need their recognition, their approval, their acceptance, and that is why they fear you. They built a world where everything could be bought, manipulated, or forced into submission, but you are beyond their reach. Now, they are the ones watching, waiting, hoping for a way back in. Because they see it clearly now, you weren't just another name to control. You were the real power all along. They were convinced you needed them. They assumed you would fight for their approval, that you would recognize their influence, that you would shape yourself into something more acceptable, more useful to their agenda. That was their first mistake. Because while they were busy calculating your value based on their standards, you were never looking to be chosen by them. The unthinkable has happened. They need you, not just as an asset, not just as another name, to control, but as something far more essential, a survival tactic, because they see the shift. Everything they built, Everything they use to control others is losing its power. The world is changing, and for the first time in their lives, their influence is no longer enough. Money, connections, status, all of it is becoming secondary. They see the ones who aligned with real power, the ones who move with something beyond strategy, beyond wealth, beyond politics. And they realize those are the only ones left standing. You don't need them. They need your presence, your certainty, your ability to move without fear, to see through illusions, to remain steady while their entire system crumbles. They need your insight, your discernment, your ability to navigate the unseen forces shifting reality itself. That's why they are scrambling now. The people who once dictated opportunities, who once acted as if they were the gatekeepers to success, are now the ones seeking access to you. At first, they tried to pull you in quietly. The desperation is visible. They send their best negotiators. They make promises they never thought they'd have to make. They try to attach themselves to you, to align with your presence, to secure a connection before it's too late. Because they know the truth. Only those aligned with real power will survive what's coming. You were never part of their system. You were built for something greater. They are the ones praying for a seat by your side. They were never fighting for you. They were fighting for what you carry. The status that comes from being in your presence. The influence that follows you like a force of nature. The spiritual currency they can't replicate, can't manufacture, can't trade among themselves. That's all they ever wanted. They didn't see you as an equal. They saw you as a resource, something to extract, leverage, and control. A name to attach to their own for credibility. A power source to tap into when their own influence ran dry. And in their arrogance, they assumed it would be easy. Because in their world, everything has a price. Every seat at the table, every name on the guest list, every favor given and received, it all exists within a transactional system. A world where loyalty is just a contract and power is just an agreement away. But you are not for sale, and that is what they never accounted for. They thought their wealth, their titles, their carefully crafted alliances would be enough. They thought that if they extended their hand, you would take it without question. But you didn't, and that's when the frustration set in, because they realized too late they were never worthy of what they were fighting for. You do not move for money. You do not align with power that is built on deception. You do not need their resources, their validation, their approval. You exist outside of their system, and that makes you untouchable. They will never admit it. They will never say the words out loud, but they know the truth now. The chosen ones cannot be bought. And that means they never had a chance. Let them fight. Let them scramble. Let them twist themselves into knots, trying to secure what was never theirs to claim. You remain still, because you were never in the bidding war. You were never pleading for a place, never chasing after their validation, never trying to squeeze into a system that was beneath you from the beginning. They mistook your presence for something they could own. They assumed that, like everything else, you had a price. As they claw at the scraps of power they once wielded, as they whisper your name in circles that once ignored you, as they scheme for a seat near you, they understand. You were never at their table. You were the table. Your value was never in what they could offer you. It was in what they could never take from you. Your presence was never meant to serve them. It was meant to reveal them. Stripped of their illusions, they face the one truth they never prepared for. They need you. You do not need them. Your energy is gravitational. Those meant for you will come. Those unworthy will fall away. There is nothing to chase, nothing to prove, nothing to force. You do not move for the unqualified. They feel it now. And whether they admire you, resent you, or obsess over you, they will never forget you. Drop a comment if you've watched people shift, panic, or chase after losing access to you. What's the wildest way someone revealed they needed you more than they admitted? Let's talk about it.